Amity University has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for the past 7 years. Amity has also set a new standard of academic excellence in India by becoming Asia's only not-for-profit university to be awarded US Regional Accreditation, as well as India's only university to be accredited by the UK's Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education. The university is part of the not-for-profit Amity Education Group, established more than 2 decades ago by the Chauhan family. Today, the group is home to over 175,000 brilliant students, pursuing over 400 programs in 60 diverse disciplines across 9 universities and 26 schools. Amity Group's vision of establishing a global knowledge network has led to establishing international campuses in London, Singapore, Dubai, New York, San Francisco, Amsterdam, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Tashkent, Mauritius, Nairobi, and South Africa. Amity's strong focus on research and innovation has led to the filing of more than 1,200 patents, which, according to the Controller General of Patents in India, is the highest number of patents filed by any individual Indian university. Amity is also engaged in conducting more than 300 high-end government-funded as well as international research projects, including those funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, United States Agency for International Development, and the Leverhulme Trust UK. In the field of management, the university has developed more than 2,500 case studies in recent years that have been bought in 106 countries by over 2,300 leading institutions and organizations. The university has also pioneered the concept of industry-led institutions, where leading organizations such as the multinational conglomerate Tata, the UK's Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, and the Confederation of Indian Industry (CII) have set up institutions in partnership with Amity on campus. Attracting some of the most brilliant students, Amity has instituted India's largest private scholarship programs, benefiting over 25,000 students. These students are blazing a trail of success, having filed over 100 patents and published 1,500 Scopus-indexed research papers. It has also awarded over 2,000 PhD fellowships to brilliant researchers to carry out path-breaking research in thrust areas that will impact the development of the country. The award-winning Innovation Incubator on campus has nurtured more than 100 companies and attracted investments of over $40 million. The campus also has many high-end research centers, including ones set up with Nobel laureates.
Dr. Pooja and Dr. Nagpal has joined us. Please ask the IT team people to make him a panelist.
Namaste, and a very pleasant evening to our esteemed dignitaries, heads of institutions, valued academicians, worthy corporate leaders, researchers, scholars, and our budding management professionals. I, Dr. Pooja Sareen, along with my co-host, Dr. Jaya Yadav, on behalf of Amity Business School, Amity University, feel deeply honored and privileged in welcoming all to the inaugural ceremony of the 7th Global Leadership Research Conference, GLRC 2022, on the theme, Leading in the New Reality, Insights into Actions. Amity University is India's leading research and innovation-driven university and is a part of the Amity Education Group, which has over 175,000 students studying across 1,000 acres of high-tech campuses. The group has 10 universities, 17 schools, and 12 global campuses. Over 1,000 patents have been filed by our faculty, scientists, and researchers. Our faculty has more than 300 collaborative funded projects from the government, industry, and international agencies. Amity University is ranked among the top universities in India by QS and NIRF rankings. Amity Business School, the flagship institution of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, works with a mission to create an ambience of academic excellence in which new ideas, research projects, leaders, and innovators of tomorrow emerge. Under the strategic leadership of our visionary founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, our honorable chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan sir, our very dynamic Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Balwinder Shukla ma'am, and our very inspiring Dean FMS and Director Amity Business School, Professor Dr. Sanjeev Bansal sir. Amity Business School has continuously scaled unprecedented heights and is running in its 27th year of excellence and glory. GLRC 2022 platform is an important platform where management scholars, researchers, academicians, and practitioners can share the groundbreaking outcomes of their research across diverse management domains and subsequently contribute to the theory building in the field of management. In this 3 days conference from February 16th to 18th, 2022, we shall be witnessing the galore of panel discussions, deliberations, and research paper presentations. On the day one of this mega event, we witnessed the grand opening through the success of our pre-conference workshop on using mixed research methods for studying management phenomena that was jointly organized by Amity Business School and the University of Nebraska, Omaha, US. GLRC 2022, ladies and gentlemen, brings with it the global perspective through the eminent speakers joining us from across the globe and academicians and scholars from various countries presenting their research papers. The distinguished academicians and the corporate leaders have joined us in this initiative to identify the crucial factors that shall impact future growth of each one of us present here in the transformed times, which has now become the new reality. We strongly believe that these 3 days shall be highly engaging and captivating for all of us. Light is a symbol of brightness and prosperity as light expels the darkness. To make this day a blessed one, we commence the event by lighting of the lamp, accompanied by an invocation dedicated to this light in our lives. May I request our valued guests and the august audience to participate in the virtual lighting of the ceremonial lamp before we start today's proceedings.
Dr. Pooja, we are being joined by our Honorable Chancellor Sir, our Vice Chancellor Madam, Dr. Ajit Nagpal, our Chief Guest, Dr. Hasmit Patra. So I request, Dr. Arundhati Mukku is also here. So I request all the esteemed panelists, all the guests and faculty members to please join us.
Yes, sir. With the divine blessings and lighting of the sacramental lamp, the stage is now set for the 7th GLRC 2022. As a tradition at Amity, we welcome all our esteemed guests with the Tulsi saplings. May I now request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director Amity Business School, to virtually present the Tulsi sapling to our esteemed guest of honor, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, Principal Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Government of India.
Dr. Pooja, since everyone is not here, I will be requesting you, we can present the saplings to all present over here, and then we can replay this when the guest joins actually. We are being joined.
May I now request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director, Amity Business School, to present the Tulsi sapling to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Carl Moore, Associate Professor, T. Sottles, Faculty of Management, McGill University, Canada, and Associate, Green Templeton College, Oxford University, UK.
Dr. Carl Moore is here. Welcome, Dr. Moore. Thank you so very much for being there. Welcome to the conference.
A heartiest welcome to you, sir. May I now request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director, Amity Business School, to present the Tulsi sapling to our illustrious chief guest, Dr. Sasmit Patra, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha.
Respected ma'am, our Vice Chancellor ma'am is also here, Dr. Ajit Nagpal. On behalf of all these members, ma'am, we will be welcoming Dr. Sasmit Patra. He's with us, Member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha. Welcome, Dr. Patra. Thank you so very much for being there.
I humbly request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director ABS, to present the Tulsi sapling to our distinguished guest, Mr. Nishan Govil, Managing Director, BlackRock.
Welcome, Mr. Nishan.
May I now request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director ABS, to present the Tulsi sapling to our distinguished guest, Ms. Arundhati Mukku, Head HR Coffee Day Global Limited.
Welcome, Ms. Arundhati. Thank you so very much for being there.
I humbly request Dr. Sanjeev
We can wait,
Bansal,
Dr. Pooja. We
Yeah.
can wait, Dr. Pooja. Let Founder President sir join, Chancellor
Yes,
sir
sir.
join.
Yes, sir.
So we will continue for this
Yes,
slightly after.
right, sir. May I now request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director, Amity Business School, to present the Tulsi sapling to a very dynamic Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Atul Chauhan, sir.
Welcome, Chancellor sir. Thank you so very much for being there.
I humbly request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director ABS, to present the Tulsi sapling to our respected Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Professor Dr. Balwinder Shukla, ma'am.
Ma'am, welcome. Welcome to your own Global Leadership Research Conference, ma'am. Thank you so much for being there.
May I now request Dr. Vijay Chaturvedi, Co-Chairperson GLRC 2022, and Dr. Vinam Rajain, Organizing Secretary GLRC 2022, to present the Tulsi sapling to our dynamic Dean FMS and Director Amity Business School, Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay, Dr. Vinam.
We are deeply thankful to all the renowned dignitaries and illustrious awardees for this gracious presence in the inaugural session of the 7th GLRC 2022.
Dr. Pooja, I will be also requesting and welcoming Dr. A.K. Nagpal, our very senior colleague who is here. Dr. Nagpal is one of the pillars of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Nagpal, thank you so very much for being there. Thank you, sir. Welcome to this conference.
Heartiest welcome to you, sir, in the 7th GLRC 2022. Leadership is simply the ability of an individual to coalesce the efforts of other individuals towards achieving common goals. And it boils down to looking after your people and ensuring that from top to bottom, everyone feels a part of the team. And our Dean FMS and Director Amity Business School is exactly of the same disposition. Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, an admired academician, under whose leadership ABS has scaled heights and has been ranked in the top 10 business schools of India in the 7 successive years. In an acclaimed career span of about 33 years in teaching, research, and consultancy, he has been invited to be a part of the various prestigious academic and professional bodies, and in his advisory capacity has steered them to success. May I now request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, an institution builder, a loved teacher, and an ardent researcher, to kindly present his welcome address.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Pooja. Though you have told me that you will not be reading my profile, but still you have actually read it. I just pray to God Almighty to make me worthy of the good things which you said about me. Good evening, one and all. Honorable Chancellor Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam, Honorable Dr. Sasmit Patra, Dr. Arundhati, and all the esteemed colleagues. On behalf of our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, our Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan, Vice Chancellor, MIT University of Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Balwinder Shukla, organizing team of Global Leadership Research Conference, all the faculty, staff, and vibrant students of MIT Business School, I extend a gracious and heartfelt welcome to all the esteemed dignitaries, speakers, academicians, corporate professionals, participants joining from across the globe for 7th Global Leadership Research Conference, GLRC 2022. Under the great strategic and dynamic leadership of our founder, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, with his unparalleled vision, focused determination, and unremitting efforts, today MIT is on the map of the world as a well-recognized group globally. MIT group is spread in all the 7 continents, and when I say 7 continents, I include Antarctica also. In all the 7 continents, it has presence in more than 30 countries of the world, with 20 plus states of India are having MIT campuses. MIT Business School, ABS of MIT University of Uttar Pradesh, is the first school of higher education established in 1995, 27th year of existence. At ABS, we believe that the student-corporate interaction is the only boat on the shore, and we constantly find ways to define and refine an education system that bridges the gap between academia and industry. This is the 17th version of our leadership conference, reinvented as Global Leadership Research Conference, GLRC in 2016. 5th GLRC in 2020 was conducted from 25th to 27th February and was the last conference in face-to-face mode in our camp at Noida. Before the spread of COVID pandemic and series of lockdowns, incidentally, GLRC 2022 is the first major conference in hybrid mode in 2022, where we have physical presence of staff, students, staff, and faculty in the campus and speakers online. We all have been witnessing the unprecedented pandemic for 25 plus months now. It has sent shock waves through the global economy. Governments are stretching their spending capacity. The stability of financial system is highly threatened globally. In the Socratic dialogue Republic, Plato famously wrote, "Our need will be the real creator." The world economy is restoring. Organizations are bouncing back. Working environment are reviving. Administration and individuals are coming out of the slumber. But it's evident that when the pandemic is behind us, organizations will not have the option to get back to the same old thing. There will be definitely changes. The fast speed increase of better approaches for working and innovation is extending the gap between winning and losing associations. Those incapable to adjust to the new reality will be abandoned. The errand for pioneers is to explore the intricacies of this current climate while planning for what is to come. The new reality focus on three critical areas: climate and sustainability, digital transformation and resilience. As per the researchers, crisis increases the gap between winners and losers, and that performance in times of turmoil has far-reaching consequences. To win in the new reality, businesses will have to reflect on what they learned during the pandemic and integrate those lessons into the operating models and ways of working. The employees, even they start to return to their offices, it's yet to seen that workplaces will ever return to the normal. Leading in the new reality requires robust digital capabilities and, in many cases, a comprehensive transformation that can support these new ways of working. The 7th Global Leadership Research Conference 2022 on the theme Leading into the New Reality, Insight into Action intends to explore these complex issues for life after the pandemic, mainly with respect to business growth. The theme of our conference aptly invites discussions, deliberations, and relevant research. We are very happy that our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, and Dr. Atul Chauhan, sir, our Chancellor, have kindly consented to grace this occasion. We are grateful to our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Balwinder Shukla, Madam, for sparing her valuable time and gracing this occasion. Our heartfelt gratitude to our Chief Guest, Dr. Sasmit Patra, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, and guest of honor, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, Principal Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Government of India, with Ms. Akanksha Arora, Deputy Director, Economic Division, Ministry of Finance. We are thankful to Dr. Carl Moore, Associate Professor, Desilets Faculty of Management, McGill University, Canada, and Associate Green Tempton College, Oxford University, UK. Mr. Nishant Govil, Managing Director, Head of India Tech and Operations, BlackRock, and Ms. Arundhati Makku, President, HR, Coffee Day Beverages, for their acceptance of awards and joining us today for the ceremony. Once again, a heartfelt welcome to all joining for Global Leadership Research Conference 2022. Thank you.
We deeply thank you, sir, for your motivational words. Your constant support encourages all of us at ABS to continuously explore and bring out our best potential and enhance performance. Now, taking it forward, may I now request Dr. Vinamra Jain, Organizing Secretary, Global Leadership Research Conference 2022, to kindly present the outcome report of GLRC 2021.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Jaya. Greetings to everyone present today. It is our privilege that Honorable Founder President Sir and Chancellor Sir has kindly graced us with their presence in this conference. It gives me immense pleasure to present before you the outcome report of the 6th Global Leadership Research Conference on the theme Responsiveness, Innovation and Resilience, Critical Factors for Future Growth in the Changing Socio-Political Environment. The conference had 9 tracks sessions over a period of 2 days. These tracks included core management areas of marketing, finance, HR, operations, and general management. We received over 200 research papers, out of which 127 were presented to a very learned panel of experts. Participation in the conference saw submissions from 12 countries apart from India. Furthermore, the conference had 7 publication tie-ups in which several of the papers presented were shortlisted for publication. A plethora of international academicians, such as Professor Will Cassim from the London School of Economics, Professor Pierre Chandon from INSEAD, France, Professor Ivan Costa-Monier from Schema Business School, France, Professor Stokes and Dr. Smith from University of Winchester shared their views during the various sessions of the conference. And they were presented with an honorary professorship by our very own Founder President, Sir. Further, over the last 1 year, we've established an international lecture series where they had been involved in delivering lectures to students of MIT. The conference saw speakers from both government and corporate India, where the likes of Dr. Subramanian, the Chief Economic Advisor, Government of India, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, co-founder and managing director of the Hiranandani Group of Companies, deliberated on the theme. During the valedictory session, alumni stalwarts like Ashim Das Mathur with Dolby Laboratories Singapore and Mr. Sandeep Tiwari, president of the Usha International Group, shared their experiences while they were at MIT Business School with the audience. A few academicians and corporate leaders such as Richard McCracken, director of the Case Center, Professor Leopold Dana from Montpellier Business School, Mr. Saurav Mittal, Managing Director and CEO of Greenlam Industries, Mr. Romit Mukherjee, Managing Director, Prospecta Software, were bestowed upon with the MIT Excellence Award for the exemplary research for leadership acumen. Let me end with the words of Paul J. Myers. Productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. As we at MIT strongly believe that all endeavors must be driven towards tangible outcomes, these words lead the path towards desired results.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jain, for taking us back and feeling so nostalgic about the grand success of GLRC 2021. May I now request Dr. Vijay Chaturvedi, co-chair GLRC 2022, to kindly introduce this grand event with the August gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Vinamb. A very warm and delightful good evening to all esteemed and reverend seniors, guests, delegates, participants. I feel privileged and grateful for this opportunity to give an introduction to the 3-day 7th Global Leadership Research Conference on Leading in the New Reality, Insights into Action, 7th edition. Change is the only word that encompasses development, and it's true for everyone. Contemporaries in and around include scientists urging creating strategic forest reserves to mitigate climate change and protect biodiversity, big data for better lives, decades of action with UN SDGs, life below water, responsible consumption, industry innovation to partnership or development of the COVID-19 vaccine, or the initiatives of the World Health Organization to approve the world's first malarial vaccine. Change has been witnessed across different perspectives, like IBM launching its 127-qubit Eagle, which is the most powerful quantum processor yet, or the artificial titanium heart, Vivacer, that utilizes spinning this technology. Or whether it is creating a culture of accountability, working on socio-emotional needs, or keeping track of curiosity quotient of employees, or the lead initiative of collaborative approach to deal with decarbonization used by heavy industry. Keeping in mind a responsible global perspective, the theme of the conference revolves around major imperatives aimed at futuristic development. Global Leadership Research Conference revolves around the need for creating a platform where management scholars, researchers, academicians, and practitioners can share their outcomes of research across diverse management domains and subsequently contribute in the field of management. The conference will be attended by academicians, business leaders, policymakers, consultants, researchers across the globe. Forum discussions will help in understanding how academic research can be used by practitioners to improve their business practice. These 3 days conference will provide a wide platform to exchange global contemporaries through discussion and deliberation facilitated by subject experts, industry leaders, research scholars, academicians across national and international boundaries, and proud alumni. The conference aims at providing a platform for discussing research practices within the paradigm of management disciplines of marketing, finance, human resource, operations, and general management. One of the key goals of the event is to provide a forum for academic research industry interaction to identify ways for developing and benefiting by establishing mutually beneficial institutional collaboration and partnership. The conference aims at cultivating a global ecosystem where discussions can be organized on the evolving demographic, socio-political, industrial, and digital patterns across business and society. We hope these 3 days will open new vistas for immense and directed learning ahead with the blessings of Great Almighty and all three. Thank you.
We welcome Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, our guest of honor. He has also joined us. Welcome, Mr. Sanyal. Thank you so very much for being there.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. Thank you so much, Dr. Chaturvedi, for the comprehensive event introduction, which has motivated all of us to the core now. Now, may I now request Dr. Harminder Gujral, Professor Amity Business School, to kindly introduce our very dynamic and inspiring Vice Chancellor, Dr. Balvinda Shukla ma'am, to the audience, please.
Thank you, Dr. Jaya. Professor Dr. Balvinda Shukla is MTech from IIT Kharagpur and a PhD from Queen's University, UK. She has over 3 decades of rich scholarly experience in industry, academia, research, and administration. Currently, Dr. Shukla is a professor of entrepreneurship, leadership, and IT, and Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. With a strategic mindset and creative thinking ability, she has been one of the key team members spearheading and instrumental in the exponential growth of Amity Group engaged in higher education.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Request madam to share her insightful thoughts with the audience.
Most respected Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Samsit Patra, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, Government of India, Honorable Founder President, Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Karl Moore, the Associate Professor, McGill University, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, Principal Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, and Mr. Akanksha Arora, Deputy Director, Economic Division, and all my colleagues, distinguished speakers, participants. First of all, on behalf of Honorable Founder President, Honorable Chancellor, all the deans, heads of institutions, the faculty members, I extend very warm welcome to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Samsit Patra, Member of Parliament, for sparing his time and to be the part of the inaugural session of 7th Global Leadership Research Conference organized by our oldest higher education institution, Amity Business School. I extend very warm welcome to our guest of honor, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, Principal Economic Advisor, Mr. Akanksha Arora, Deputy Director, Economic Division, Ministry of Finance, Dr. Karl Moore, and most importantly, I extend very warm welcome to our Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Founder President, and all the participants for this 7th Global Leadership Conference. The theme chosen by the organizing team, the Leading in the New Reality, Insights into Action, is a very apt theme. We have seen over the last 2 years since the COVID pandemic started, and how all the businesses, all the even higher education institutions, other organizations, individuals and society got impacted due to the COVID pandemic. And all of a sudden, the new reality came before without knocking the doors, for which no businesses, no organizations were prepared for such an unprecedented change which happened overnight. And organizations, the individuals were thinking what to do, how to do. On many of the businesses, the impact was so much, and the organizations are still looking at how to revive the businesses. But at the same time, there were the other sectors, other businesses, where during the COVID pandemic, we have seen also the growth, because that were the sectors which have grown. In the last 2 years, we have seen the lot had changed in the education sector also. which is producing the talent for the industry. So when the new realities of the industries are there, how the education institutions are going to prepare itself and continue the education and also at the same time develop the talent for the new realities of the businesses, the new job roles, which requires the altogether new skill sets to realize the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister to make India Atmanirbhar Bharat. For that, you need to have the new skill set, new competencies. We at MIT University, under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Chancellor, and to realize the vision of our Honorable Founder President, to contribute to the nation building through research, innovation, education, and beyond. We were MIT Universities, thanks to our Honorable Chancellor, MIT University has a very strong technology infrastructure. And without losing a single day academic, we moved from the face-to-face mode of teaching to the online mode of teaching, the remote mode of teaching, using the strong technology infrastructure. And we continued with not only our academic activities, but also the co-curricular, extracurricular, industry engagement and research activities in the remote mode. And having the virtual labs, having all the e-content, the e-resources for the students and for the faculty to provide the high quality education, and which resulted into not only the timely completion of the academic calendar and starting the next academic calendar on session on time, but it also helped the students to start their corporate career on time. And it was only the hard work and the commitment of all the faculty member of the university who have put the extra efforts without looking into the timings, that how can we really support the students in this difficult time. So the university have organized the various counseling sessions through the MIT Center for Counseling and Guidance. University have organized the various sessions where the students can be supported, helped, and also created the help desk during the COVID time, not only to provide the help for the counseling, but also providing maybe the vaccination, maybe the other support to the students, the faculty, their family members. We had the on-campus vaccination drive also for the faculty, student, as well as for the alumni and their family members. MIT University during this period have collaborated with the number of companies for the students' internships, for research, for consultancy, training programs, and which resulted into the better learning of the students, better skill development of the students, and our Honorable Founder President's vision that how we support the society, how we support the community in these difficult times. So during the COVID time, that from MIT's mess every day, more than 5,000 migrant workers, food was being prepared and being provided the food, apart from the contributing to the various funds for the relief funds and all those things. Since the vision of our Honorable Founder President is to have the research and innovation, and it is his vision that the faculty and the researchers work very hard, filed a large number of patents since the inception of the university, and which resulted into the Government of India has awarded MIT University the #1 university in filing the patents, as well as transferring the technologies to the industry. So this is the university which always looks ahead, thinks ahead. When the National Education Policy 2020 has announced by the Government of India, and we were looking at that, what all we need to change in our academics so that we can implement the NEP 2020. And we found that the majority of 90% of the things of the NEP 2020 are already implemented in the Amity University. For example, values, human values, which are very important and universal values. Our vision of our Honorable Founder President, that how we inculcate the values in the students, and we used to organize the Human Values Day, Human Values Quarter, and where every single student was engaged some or other activities to develop the human values and follow the human values. During this COVID pandemic, it's really sad that some of our students, they lost their family members, the parents. Our Honorable Chancellor created a corpus to provide the support to the students who have lost their parents so that they can continue their education. Therefore, the focus is always on the students, their happiness, their development, so that tomorrow they go in the industry or start their own venture and contribute to the nation building and make this country as a Atmanirbhar Bharat. So I would like to congratulate Dr. Sanjeev Bansal for choosing a apt theme. And I was going through the list of the speakers which are invited from across the globe. And it's a really, really very impressive thing. I'm sure that all the participants are going to learn a lot through this conference. And our Honorable Chancellor always focuses on the outcome of a conference. And I'm sure, Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, that the outcome of this conference will be monitored and will be of the highest level. Building the relationships are very important with the experts from across the globe, and having the symbiotic relationship where the mutual interest can be pursued together. And I'm extremely thankful to our chief guest, Sri Samsit Patra ji, who has spared his valuable time to be part of this inaugural session. I'm sure, sir, your presence and your address is going to motivate and inspire all the members of Amity family. I'm especially thankful to Sanjeev Sanyal ji for sparing his time and being with us. And we are looking forward to your valuable inputs. I'm also thankful to Ms. Akanksha Arora ji, the Deputy Director Economic Division, for sparing her time. Dr. Karl Mood, we are especially thankful to you. I'm sure that you and our faculty members will be working together in various areas of mutual interest to make the not only in the area of research but also in the area of academics. I'm looking forward for your collaboration with our faculty members, and so thank you very much for sparing your time. Once again, I extend very warm welcome to all the distinguished guests for this inaugural session.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your always so captivating and motivational words. You are indeed a role model to all of us, and your thoughtful words always give us new directions to progress in all our actions.
We are deeply honored with the presence of Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, our guest of honor. On behalf of Amity Business School, Amity University, we extend our heartiest welcome to you, sir. May I now request Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, Dean FMS and Director, Amity Business School, to virtually present the Tulsi sapling to our esteemed guest of honor, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, Principal Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Government of India.
Welcome, Mr. Sanyal. Thank you so very much for being here.
I now take immense pride in taking the program ahead, and I request Dr. Lakhvinder Kaur Dhillon, Professor, Amity Business School, to kindly introduce the versatile and highly valued guest of honor, Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, Principal Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Government of India, to the August gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. Greetings to everyone. Shri Sanjeev Sanyal is currently the Principal Economic Advisor to the Government of India and also represents India on a number of international forums. As the co-chair of G20 Framework Working Group, he has been one of the main architects of the G20's Global Action Plan used to coordinate the global response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to joining the government in February 2017, he spent over 2 decades in the financial sector and was global strategist and managing director at Deutsche Bank. He was named Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum in 2010. Sri Sanyal is also a well-known urban tourist and writer. In 2007, he was awarded the Eisenhower Fellowship for his work on urban dynamics. He has been a visiting scholar at Oxford University, adjunct fellow at the Institute of Policy Studies, Singapore, a senior fellow of the Worldwide Fund for Nature, a fellow of the Royal Geographical Society, London, and an honorary professor of Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. In 2015-16, he served in the Future City subcommittee of the Singapore government, tasked with building a long-term vision for the city-state. Sri Sanyal attended Sri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi, and Oxford University, where he was a Rhodes Scholar 1992-95. His best-selling books include Land of the Seven Rivers, The Indian Renaissance, India in the Age of Ideas, and The Ocean of Churn, all published by Penguin. In addition, he has published around 200 articles, columns, and reports in leading national, international publications. Sir, we are honored to have you as our guest of honor, requesting you to kindly address the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's indeed an honor to speak at your conference. I was wondering what would be of interest to both the faculty and the students. Many of my views on economics are well known. I just presented the economic survey just a few weeks ago. So you more or less know my views on this current state of the economy. So rather than bore you with that, I thought since this is a business school, why don't I take you through the process of decision-making when you're dealing with a turbulent, uncertain environment. Because many of you will presumably go on to set up businesses, and you will also face the problem of making decisions when the future is very, very uncertain and unclear. So let me give you an insight into how decisions were made over the last 2 years during what was the biggest economic and human shock in the last 100 years on this planet. At least since the Second World War, this was the biggest economic and human shock. So how were decisions made, people like myself, in that environment? So why don't I give you a flavor of that? So the first thing to understand about decision making under extreme uncertainty is to understand that you are dealing with environments where you cannot place clean probabilities to things that may happen. See, when you're teaching in business schools, very often for pedagogical convenience, you will do decision trees and you will say this can happen, you put some probability to this happening or that happening. But that is meaningful in maybe a stable environment of some sort. When you're dealing with, say, a pandemic like ours, or even other uncertain situations, or if you have a startup, for example, in an industry where you don't know how that industry will evolve, how do you make decisions? So I'll give you one example in an environment of policy making, how such decisions were made. So let's go back to March of 2020. What is the information that we had in mid-March about the pandemic? And the answer to that is the following: very little. We basically knew that something bad had happened to China, but the Chinese wouldn't share too much information, and neither would the WHO give you clear indications. You'll remember all this, it's recent enough. And meanwhile, we knew that whatever it was, had spread to Europe, particularly to Italy, and was killing a lot of people. Now, this is the sum total, really, of the information we had on COVID in middle of March. Now, what do you do under these circumstances? Well, the first thing to do is to call in the experts and ask what their opinion is. And so like many other governments, we also called in the experts. The problem is the virologists and epidemics experts who came gave us a very wide range of possible outcomes. Some of them said, COVID is just a bad flu, and that, and there were other people who were of the opinion that literally millions of people were going to die because of it. You'll remember all these because they were all debating each other with Arnab Goswami in those days. So under those circumstances, what do you do? Because I have no way of judging which of these two is going to be true. Now, one approach which some other countries did is to decide which of these forecasts is true, decide that this guy is the best, most logical person, or this epidemiologist is the best one, most reliable one, and then go with that. So some countries did that. For example, the Swedish model is based on one guy, they choose him and they go with the flow. But others, for example, like the UK, opted initially for herd immunity and then changed their mind and then did something else. Singapore changed its mind several times along the way. Now, the problem is that that's all very good when you're a relatively small country and you can change direction. With 1.35 billion people, your problem is you're stuck with whatever happens to be the strategy you've taken. There is no way of changing it. So what do you do when you have a large tanker and you can't change direction? Well, so the way we went about it is something called a barbell strategy. Since you're a business school, you may actually in your finance class and you teach about derivatives and barbell strategies. I have elaborated about them in the last couple of economic surveys, so you can read about that in more detail. But basically the idea behind a barbell strategy, which as you will discover in, say, for example, when you're doing derivatives, is to combine two very different strategies in order to deal with an uncertain situation. So in this case, the barbell strategy we took was, on one hand, you hedge for the very worst outcome. And on the other hand, you make your way forward through Bayesian updating of information. Okay, why do you do that? Well, you hedge for the worst because you don't know, maybe the guy who is the most pessimistic is right. I have no way of knowing that. And then on the other hand, you make your way forward by updating information as new information becomes available. So this is the context in which we did the first big lockdown. It wasn't because we had some new insight into how the COVID would perform or anything like that. Not far from it. The reason we did it is because we didn't know. And so what we did is we did a full lockdown. Now, remember, those who are taking this decision are fully aware that a lockdown is a very tough thing on the economy, right? But we are unaware whether or not the pessimistic forecast is going to be true. After all, remember, we are also seeing images of people suddenly walking and dying on the streets and all that. You've seen all those videos on that from that time. So what if that is going to be what is going to happen in India, and it's going to spread through all our slums and our villages, and you literally have people dying everywhere? What will happen? Because we don't know how this is spreading. So one part is hedge for the worst, which is do a complete lockdown. Now, this gives you time to basically put in place some quarantining facilities, gives you some time to understand how to test for it. Remember, we don't have testing kits at this stage. We find out how this disease spreads and what are its symptoms. Remember, all of this was discovered only after we began to see what was happening in Europe. Here in India, we had no idea. So even though there were very few cases, this was why we did it. Now, over time, we gathered more information. And as information became better, we were able to say, okay, this is a disease that spreads through the air. It causes blah, blah, blah kind of signs. You lose your taste. In very bad cases, your breathing problems, whatever the various symptoms began to be known. We began to have testing kits. So that time, as time passed, we got better information. And so you do a Bayesian updating of information and make your way forward by feeling your way forward. So this is what we are doing. So remember, the first wave spiked around about September of 2020. Now, ironically, by September 2020, many of the very severe lockdown ideas were being actually unwound. So at that time, many people criticized us, why you were willing to do a lockdown, full national lockdown, when there were very few cases, but you're opening things up when there are so many more cases. Why are you doing this? Well, the reason for that is by September, we had a much better idea of what we were dealing with. We knew that while this was a dangerous disease, it wasn't the worst case. We knew that it was particularly bad for a certain age groups or people with certain comorbidities. but for example, it wasn't very dangerous to children, and so on. So much better idea. We have by this time some testing capability. We have all kinds of other things that we have played. So now that you understand, by this point, we have a more, the information availability allows us to actually open things up. So last year we opened things up, and by October, the second wave also, the first wave had come down. And so that is the context in which we've also began to ramp up the economy. So let's go back to how you use the barbell strategy on how to deal with the economy. Same idea, you hedge for the worst outcomes on one hand, and you make your way forward through iteration on the other. So what did we do last, when we did the full lockdown, what were we doing? We didn't try to reinflate the economy at that time. Many other countries basically were doing all kinds of $1 trillion reinflation packages. And many people expected us in India to do the same. We didn't do it. Why? Because our view is you hedge for the worst first, because you don't know whether you'll be able to open the economy or not open the economy. What will be the situation? So you hedge for the worst by essentially provide for the most vulnerable sections of your economy. You provide free food, you provide liquidity to the business sector. You're not trying to reinflate the economy at this stage. Mind you, our point is, there is no point in pressing the accelerator with your foot is on the brake. So instead of doing that, we were just providing a safety net. Even we do not make a claim that we were trying to reinflate the economy. Then you will remember, every few months, we did a series of mini packages. You will remember the Honorable Finance Minister coming up with these packages through every few weeks, sometimes coming up with a new package. What are we doing? We are iteratively responding to an evolving situation. So now, this is a fundamentally different way of dealing with a problem. Rather than have a grand plan in the beginning, you basically iteratively make your way forward. Now, those of you who are familiar with software development, for example, will quickly understand that I am basically talking about agile as opposed to waterfall. Most countries in the world basically went for a waterfall strategy to dealing with COVID. India is unique in that we went for an agile strategy. And there's a huge literature on agile strategies in operations literature particularly. So this is basically what we're doing. And so by October, when the economy was reasonably opened out, we ramped up the capital expenditure and the economy accelerated. You'll also remember this. Between October of 2020 and March 2021, the economy suddenly opened up. It was growing very, very fast and recovering very quickly. Now comes the second wave. Did we predict the second wave? No. But we didn't pretend we knew how to. What our main thing was, how do we respond to this? Do we do another lockdown? Or do we keep things going open in some ways? Or do we decentralize it and allow people to lock down at the state level? And we took the call that this can only be, now we couldn't go through another national lockdown because we had no idea how long this would last. Secondly, there was a real problem, another problem. But remember that this delta did not happen in different parts of the country at the same time. They happened in different parts. So, if I have to shut down the whole country for long periods of time just because some part of the country is going through delta wave, then I have to keep the country basically in lockdown for months, which is not practical. So what we did is we allowed states to take their own decision. So different states went through their lockdowns at different points, depending on when they were getting hit. Incidentally, we also tried this with vaccination. It didn't work out because it turned out that if you allow different states to negotiate on their own, then they end up competing and there's a lot of bad blood in terms of vaccine distribution and so on. So that we re-centralized it. And that, of course, smoothened out the process and allowed us to ramp up the vaccination process. But what I'm trying to give you a sense of is that the way decisions are made is hedge for the worst and do continuous iterative moving forward. Now, again, the wave came off, the second wave came off by about June, July. And so we felt more and more confident and we began opening things up. But this time, having gone through the second wave and the trauma, human cost of it, we were a little more had to do it a little more gingerly. But on the other hand, the economic cost of the second wave was much, much lower because we hadn't shut down the whole country altogether. So yes, there was higher cost on the second wave, But again, even with the cost that we saw, it was nowhere near as bad as some of the worst case situations that we had been told in the beginning. So I'm just giving you how cloudy things are as you make decisions and how iteratively we have made decisions. And so over and over again, as we stand right now, we are now much more confident. The Omicron thing came, it went, it didn't cause too much disruption. We are now opening everything up as fast as we can. The state governments obviously now have to roll that out, but at the national level, we have opened things up. We are in fact committing ourselves to a massive expansion in capital spending to ramp up the economy and make it grow. And so that is where we are at. That is our best guess, is that with the population largely vaccinated, we can now take the risk of opening everything up and get the economy going. Now, this doesn't mean that the world doesn't have risks. There are obviously problems with oil prices. There's a risk of a war in Ukraine, for example. But notice most of these are imported problems. They will have an impact on us, but they are imported problems, which, well, we will deal with. But as things stand, the best guess on GDP growth suggests that, at least according to the economic survey that we published, is that we will grow next financial year by something between 8 to 8.5% on top of the 9% we grew this year. This would still make us the fastest growing economy in the world. Incidentally, the IMF is even more positive in the GDP growth forecasts than we are. They expect next year we'll grow by 9%. Either which way, even with our own more conservative forecasts, my guess is that we will grow, we will be still by some margin the fastest growing economy in the world. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't risks. Inflation is clearly a risk, particularly from oil prices. There are many other shocks that can happen. But even in this context, I think we are reasonably well placed. Our banking system is well capitalized. NPAs are coming down. We have $635 billion out of foreign exchange reserves. Inflation has tagged up, but it is just at the edge of what is our tolerance band. But interestingly note that our inflation is today lower than that of Europe or the US, and significantly lower than that in most emerging markets. I mean, places like Turkey now have 50% inflation. So we are nowhere in that zone. But yes, I mean, we have to be careful as we make our way forward. And of course, we have to continue with our flexible approach to policymaking. Now, let me end by saying that I gave you a demonstration of how policymakers have made decisions in an environment of extreme uncertainty. Many of you will realize that this is something that happens with maybe every business. If many of you go on to set up your own businesses, you will discover this. You can have good, the best business plan in the world, but in the end, successful businesses are rarely successful by following the business plan. Planning is useful in order to understand the contours of the system and for understanding various scenarios and resources you need to deal with those scenarios. But life in general will turn out to almost certainly to be something quite different from what you had planned it out to be. And how do you deal with that? And I hopefully gave you a sense of how flexibility ultimately and being able to deal with extreme shocks is far more important than your ability to forecast the future. Thank you very much, and back to you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such interesting insights on how real decisions are taken in a highly volatile, ambiguous, complex, and rightly said, a cloudy environment, especially during the challenging and unprecedented pandemic times we all have been living in since 2020. We are also enlightened by your highly thought-provoking and valuable interest. And yes, we look forward to higher growth for our economy. Thank you once again for your gracious presence and such insightful address, sir.
Thank you.
May I now invite Dr. Anupma R., Professor, Amity Business School, to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Carl Moore, to the august audience.
It is my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce to the august gathering Professor Dr. Carl Moore. He is a professor at the Dassault Faculty of Management, McGill University, and Green Templeton College, Oxford University. Prior to his academic career, Dr. Moore worked for 11 years in Canada in senior management positions
with IBM and Hitachi. Before McGill, he taught at Oxford University for 5 years. He has recently presented his research on introverts at Harvard Business School, Oxford, IMD, and the Stanford Business School. His research on ambiverts has been highlighted in The Economist in 2016. He hosts a weekly program, the CEO Series, where he interviews global thought and business leaders one-on-one for an hour. Previous guests include Justin Trudeau, Nobel Prize winner Mohammad Yunus, Eileen Murray, co-CEO of Bridgewater Associates. In November of 2020, Carl and an Indigenous graduate student started a weekly column for the Globe and the Mail. Indigenous leaders, where they interview an Indigenous leader in Canada and elsewhere. Carl has interviewed 1,000+ CEOs, prime ministers, generals, and other senior leaders, amongst the most in the world. He has blogged weekly for the Forbes for over 10 years and has a weekly piece in French in La Affaire. Carl has been recently nominated for the 2021 Thinkers 50 Distinguished Achievement Awards in the leadership category as a top thinker for his work on introverts, extroverts in the C-suite and millenniums. He has had 28 referee journal articles and 9 books. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome you, sir. I request you to please share your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much for a very generous introduction. Very much appreciated. And let me say it's a considerable honor to be speaking at this conference at the Amity Business School, one of the top business schools in India and one of the most important in the world. And join such a group of distinguished guests and speakers. I've had the pleasure of visiting India 7 times. On one trip, bringing a group of about 30 McGill students about a decade ago. I only wish we could be in person at the beautiful campus and share not only lectures, but also more informal conversations and meals. And particular thanks to the speaker before me, the principal economic advisor. I taught many Rhodes Scholars at Oxford. He certainly lived up to my expectations of a Rhodes Scholar and his very considerable insights. And I appreciate this insights to how India approached the economy during the pandemic differently than many parts of the world. And being the fastest growing economy in the world is very, very impressive indeed. So the title of this conference is Leading into New Reality, Insights into Actions. What is the new reality? I've had the opportunity to interview about 100 CEOs since the start of the pandemic. At McGill, I teach a CEO Insights class for MBAs where we host 26 CEOs for an hour and a half each, a CEO speaker series, and then I have, as she mentioned, a national radio show, the CEO series heard across Canada, where I do one-on-one interviews with leading CEOs 50 times a week. I will reach out to the previous speaker to invite him to join by recording by Zoom. Just very much appreciate how articulate it is. And I'm in Singapore next week and Paris, and I'll be doing interviews there, probably to bring to my own country of Canada, a very large, the second largest country in the world, but incredibly underpopulated compared to yourselves. So we do have many wonderful Indian immigrants come to Canada and add enormously to the vitality of our economy. So something where we've had some big names last year. Ola Kalanis, the CEO of Mercedes-Benz. This last weekend, Mohammad Yunus, Nobel Peace Prize winner, joined us from Bangladesh. And of course, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, but mainly business CEOs. I was down visiting Columbia University in New York in December and had lunch with a senior prof, encouraging him to do a similar CEO course at Columbia. I would encourage any business school professors online, including, of course, our wonderful hosts at Amity University, consider doing a similar class where they invite many CEOs to your university. Last week, I sat down with Willie Walsh, former CEO of British Airways and Iberia, and now MD of IATA, the International Air Transport Agency. In his view, this crisis is simply unprecedented in the history of aviation. It dwarfs 9/11 and the financial crisis of 2008. But it's not just the airline industry. Virtually every CEO I've talked to have told me that the world has been reinvented. In some cases, like Amazon, for the better. We seem to be buying from Amazon almost weekly now. And who does not wish they bought Zoom stock the month before the pandemic? We'd be all very wealthy. We'd probably owning an island in the Caribbean and not be online. Last week, I had the most senior general in Canada, General Wayne Eyre, come to class. Interestingly, even the military was called on to do things in Canada that are newish to their normal mission. That is, in this case, helping to vaccinate civilians in Canada. They're also wrestling with how to help with the growing impact of climate change in our northern country. Nothing to do with the pandemic, but a growing phenomenon of floods that hit a number of parts of Canada in simply an unprecedented way. The CEO of the Red Cross, Conrad Sauvé, told our class how the mission of the Red Cross has considerably evolved as well in a world of climate change. One of the new realities in today's world is that the strategies of the past are becoming less and less relevant to today's businesses and indeed organizations. And I think our previous speaker would suggest that in terms of how India manages the economy from New Delhi. And how we lead has evolved to some degree during the pandemic as well. How do we lead our people that work from home half the week? How do we lead remote workers many time zones away, sometimes in India or the Philippines for Canadian organizations? How do you inspire people on Zoom or Teams are all questions every CEO I talk to has wondered about, is exploring and seeking new ways to do business. We're simply doing business in a different way than the past. And this is an opportunity for this conference as we talk about ideas that business school academics are coming up with, and how do we change the world of action? How do we make the world, and part of our job as academics is to talk to a lot of people, to gather data from disparate sources, bring them together, and use them to teach our students, but teach executives as well through our research and writing, reaching bigger audiences, bring together points and connecting them perhaps in new ways, bringing the dots to a different place. This also brings me to my colleague Henry Mintzberg's idea of emergent strategy. One of the reasons I met Miguel and left Oxford was our son Eric came home at age 4 years old from the nursery in Oxford and said, "Daddy, I need a bath." And my wife, who's from Quebec City, and myself from Toronto, said, "It's time to leave. We want to bring up small Canadians they're now tall Canadians, and we wanted to get back home." And so I chose McGill. It's a great university, but I work with a guy named Henry Mintzberg, one of the great management thinkers in the world. One of his key ideas is emergent strategy. And this is in contrast to Michael Porter's idea of more deliberate strategy. Henry and I have been arguing for a number of years now that Michael's ideas are still valuable. I was teaching his 5 forces and 3 generic strategies to an undergraduate class at McGill just last week. Yet as valuable as they are, they're getting a bit long in the tooth. We still use them, but they're just not as useful as they've been in the past. In today's uncertain world, and this is something that we're just coming out of the pandemic, hopefully, I'm going to Singapore, as I mentioned, Thursday, and then also Frankfurt and Paris. It's been about 3 years since I've been to Asia, which is a long time, as you go once or twice a year. And I'm eager to get over to Asia. It's the most important part of the world these days, and becoming even more important with the rise of China. And we are encouraged, the world is encouraged by the rise of India as well. China, certainly, I've written a couple books on globalization, the known world, including the Roman Empire, what I call known world globalization. And I'm writing a book now on China, because in our first 3 books, we add a chapter on China, and we're focusing on China as almost the only country that's always been important. The other one is India. So when I talked about globalization, the Roman Empire, known world globalization, it included China, but also included India. I think people forget that India has been always very important throughout human history. I can't think of any exceptions, but again, maybe an Indian historian could point out to me where the exceptions are. And as a Canadian, as a North American, someone who still associated with Oxford, I find great encouragement by India. For its flaws, it's a wonderful democracy that works. By and large, it is a country of great freedom, and so is a bulwark against China, which at times lacks freedoms, and again is a communist country, as it's very clear. They say that, they tell us that. So India, thank you for existing and having existed throughout human history, enormously valuable, and we really appreciate what you bring as a balance in Asia to China, so please keep doing that. Emergent strategy is where we look at not just ideas from the top, not just from the C-suite, but ideas coming from almost anywhere in an organization. That almost anybody can be a strategist, or at least contribute to strategy. One of the particularly most important groups is what we call boundary spanners. That is people within an organization that have 1 foot in the organization and 1 foot in the real world of customers, our suppliers, where we run into the competitors face to face in the marketplace. Because they have a sense of that turbulent environment, the changing environment that we're part of, and bring that knowledge back to the strategy process. It goes beyond my colleague Richard Whittington. I was talking to him yesterday at Oxford, his idea of open strategy, to say, yeah, we have an open strategy, but what we want to have is multiple sources of understanding a turbulent world that's changing radically. We need to have that and bring that into the strategy process. And that's being more of a, not deliberate, but the more emergent strategy. Too often strategy is a rear view mirror. We need to have a strategy that looks forward to the future. One other thing I'd like to mention here as I get towards the end of my comments is this idea that we're rethinking what leadership is. Our old models of leadership were primarily men, in the case of North America, white men, and thankfully those things are changing. As I was mentioned, I do a bi-weekly column now for about last year and a half for the Globe and Mail Canada's national newspaper called Indigenous Leaders. And I do it with an Indigenous graduate student. And in some ways, Canada's original sin is the treatment of Indigenous people. And we came in as colonizers without the history of India or your part of the world. We came in. Now, my aunt was born in Finland, so I'm a relatively new immigrant myself. But we came in and treated Indigenous people very badly. What I'm trying to do is say for hundreds of years, white men like me, not women, but white men like me, lectured Indigenous people how to live, where with this column what we're doing is like, let's turn the tables and listen to them and allow them to teach us about today's Canada, today's world, and how we should be thinking and acting differently. I have a book with my publisher. It's called OK Boomer, Working More Effectively with Millennials and Generation Z. And OK Boomer is kind of a meme that was going around a couple of years ago you might have ran into. And it's just saying to the boomers like myself who are beginning, the older ones to retire, but we're still in charge along with Generation X, to say we've got to spend more time listening to the Zs. One was if you don't listen to a Z, you're a jerk from their viewpoint. And it's the decline in hierarchy we see in our society in the North America and in Western Europe to a large degree. Hierarchy used to be here, now it's much less. Therefore, we've got to listen to them as a leader, but also from a viewpoint of making better strategy. This is quite important. One last thing I'll mention, one last idea I'm working on, and I'm down teaching at the Stanford MBA in April on introverts, ambiverts, and extroverts. The title of my book is We're All Ambiverts Now. So I'm about 3/4 way finished writing it, and it's like Winston Churchill said, his famous line as an author is, there's a time to kill the book and fling it out the door. And that's where I'm kind of feeling about this. So I'm meeting with my publisher at Stanford while I'm down there, simply arguing that we all have to be ambiverts. An ambivert who acts like, is someone who acts like an introvert at times and an extrovert at other times. My argument is, as a senior leader, at times you've got to act like an introvert and be a good listener. So a CEO coming to discuss strategy with his or her senior team doesn't, if they're extroverted, put their ideas out there right away, because as soon as the leader puts out his or her ideas, it seems to stop all conversation. And we go, that's why you're boss. I love it. what he does or she does is listen to all the other comments, because I go into the room with what I'm thinking about strategy in my head. I know that. What I want to know is, what do you think? What do you think? And I go around the room as a good introvert, listening quietly. Then at the end, I'm extroverted myself, but I've had to bite my tongue to be an effective leader. At the end, happy thought, I'm the CEO, I get to decide, but I've got the input from people. And this is what's really important, is that sense. On the other hand, I have to be an inspiring leader and act like an extrovert and give that inspiring speech, stir people up. As we heard from the senior economic advisor, very inspiring, and a place we go, yeah, I have confidence that the government's going to do the right thing economically after hearing him. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing ideas from great thinkers that Amity has assembled to discuss their insights and how to turn them into action. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be among this group to hear, and I look forward to hearing more of the material. And I very much look forward to visiting someday in person at your wonderful campus. I've heard very good things about it indeed. Thanks again for this honor and this invitation.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
very much, sir. Dr. Jaya, we are being joined by our Honorable Founder President, sir, and Dr. Atul Chauhan, our Chancellor, sir. Also, welcome, sir. Thank you so very much for being there, sir.
Sir, can I have a one minute talk to Carl Moore? Professor
Sir,
Carl
definitely, sir. Dr. Moore, we are being joined by the head of the family of Dr. Ashok Chauhan, head of this entire Amity universe. He wants to speak to you first, sir.
Carl Moore, excellent, marvelous speak. I'm nowadays working to find better and better leadership principles, theories, and your thoughts would be greatly helpful to me. If you allow, I would put a question, but you can reply only if you like. Sir, what is the solution of the strike of the truckers in Canada, in Toronto?
Now you've got a very interesting issue that Canada rarely makes the headlines around the world, but it appears that our quiet conservative people have got in the news. I was up in Ottawa last Monday. I went up to see for myself. I was doing an interview from a radio show, but I wanted to see, and it's not as bad as the media portrays. It's not as noisy, but thankfully a judge said that you cannot honk your horn, and the truckers had the good sense to obey the law and to calm down. Essentially, they've tapped into some feeling about people that are not vaccinated, that this was too discriminatory, went against freedom, which we are not freedom as oriented as the Americans. So the license plate on New Hampshire, a state near us, says, give us freedom or die, which seems a bit wound up, but it is American for you. And we get a bit of that flavor in Canada. I think it's calming down. May not be as bad as the media portray, but it just shows that this is clearly an issue in our country, the US, and I think in France and a number of other countries that imitated it. I think they said if the Canadians are going to do it, it's time we did. They're normally such wimps. So we appreciate the flattery of invitation, sir.
Moore, very right, absolutely apt answer. You'll be glad to know that we are soon having our own university in Toronto, Canada. My group vice chancellor is stationed in Canada, and he's bringing forward our own university. And I'm very happy that my 12th university will be overseas, Amity University, Canada, and we will need a lot of your help to make it still more successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moore, for your very, very insightful thoughts, which were truly embarked with a global perspective and have carved out specific directions for the academic fraternity towards a constant innovation, progression, and excellence. Thank you so much for these insights, and this will definitely generate new ideas in managing the new upcoming VUCA landscape. Taking this moment ahead, I take immense pride and pleasure to introduce you all to a very dynamic, charismatic, deeply respected, and highly inspirational Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan, sir, who has shaped the global and the national perspective of the university. And the world of academics, his transformational leadership style inspires all of us to have an out-of-the-box thinking and to develop a knack towards re-engineering processes for achieving enhanced learning outcomes. Dr. Atul Chauhan, sir, is the president of RBA Foundation and the Honorable Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. He's also the CEO of the AKC group of companies, which has worldwide interest in the field of petrochemicals, healthcare, and technology.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We really humbly and very respectfully request our esteemed Chancellor, sir, to give us some more inspirational words and enlighten us with his words of wisdom.
Thank you, Dr. Jaya. Our Honorable Founder President is today with us at the Global Leadership Research Conference. For us at the Amity Business School and the Amity University, it is a great honor that such a great leader is with us. But let me first of all congratulate Dr. Sanjeev Bansal as the Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies of the Amity University and also the Director of the Business School, and all your team, Dr. Sanjeev, who have put up this great conference, which will happen over the next 3 days. I was going through the list of speakers and the research papers which are being presented. And let me tell you, as is always our desire, every year you supersede the quality of last year. And this is one of the great conferences globally on leadership. And at Amity, what we are most proud about and why we strongly believe that, as you were saying in the beginning, that within a short span of 25, 30 years under the visionary leadership of our founder, Dr. Chauhan, Amity has grown to over 20 countries around the world, has grown from 100 students about 25 years ago to about 185,000 students across the world, is because of the great leaders that we have who are working within the Amity family, the Amity institutions. And I am so proud to see on screen today so many who are part of the business school, who have built up the business school since so many years. Of course, Dr. Sanjeev, under your leadership, the business school has been doing well. I can see Kritika, Dr. Jaya, Dr. Anupama, the organizing chairs of this conference, Dr. Vinamra Jain, Dr. Chaturvedi, and so many of the leaders of our business school, which is continuously ranked amongst the top 10 within our country and is really focused because of the path that our founder, Dr. Chauhan, gave to us, that not only to impart the best professional skills to our students, not only to impart and imbibe values in every student to do good for society, but also to generate knowledge to improve not only our country, but the whole world. And conferences like these make a huge impact where leading minds from across the world come together, deliberate, brainstorm what needs to be done. And Dr. Sanjeev, let me also congratulate you for getting such intellectual powerhouses to be part of the inaugural function today. Dr. Carl Moore, as our honorable founder president mentioned, it was an absolute delight to listen to your words. You are one professional in the management field who has interacted and interviewed and deliberated with some of the greatest business minds of the world. You continuously teach the most brilliant people from around the world. So there is no bigger or better a person to understand what leadership is about, where our world is moving forward to. And at Amity, and I'm sure across the whole management world, we are anxiously looking forward for the publication of your book on leadership styles. I think, for all of us, and especially for our founder, Dr. Chauhan, it is a passion to analyze and to understand the leadership styles of different people. And that is something we so often discuss and so often debate, that what makes someone successful, what styles do they have? And we always come to a conclusion that there is no leader who is similar to anyone else. I think there are so many various ways of leadership, and I think it is a matter of how you adapt your leadership style to the situation. This is an area I have also discussed personally with so many leaders. And the number one takeaway I always get is that, successful people always say that if you cannot adapt your leadership style to the situation, then you will fail. You cannot just stick to one style and sort of implement that in every situation. But Dr. Moore, we look forward, and Dr. Sanjeev, please make it as a mandatory reading, because it is the whole concept of introvert people and extrovert. It is such a big psychological part of life, because fundamentally from outside, extrovert people look more successful, but that is not necessary. It is if we see some of the biggest leaders today, especially in the tech field, whether it is Elon Musk or Bill Gates or even our Mr. Ambani from India, they're all introverts. So it is, there are leadership styles one has to learn from everyone. I'm sure a lot of good insights will come from the research which has been done. Dr. Sanjeev, you also called Dr. Sanjeev Sanyal. I think all of us got a tremendous insight on how our country has steered in the last 2 years. And one thing, as I travel around the world, as I meet colleagues around the world, everyone has only positive things to say from the outside on how our country has handled the pandemic, how it has handled the vaccination drive, how it has handled the economy. And from Mr. Sanyal, we really got an insight on the barbell strategy that we have implemented. But for all the young people, all the Amity students, all the young researchers, the students from various top business schools around India and the world, a very important lesson that you got from Mr. Sanyal was that you always need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. I think this pandemic, what it made very clear to leaders, not only in business, but governments and various organizations around the world, was that no one was truly prepared enough for the worst case scenario. In life, there can always be scenarios that you could have never imagined. And during the last 2 years, the phrase which has been most used is pivot or perish. Organizations that have not been able to adapt the way they function, the way they manage their manpower, the way they handle their customers, what business area they are in, they are not going to survive. But organizations that are nimble, that are agile, as was the word that Mr. Sanyal used, that India used the agile strategy. The same way in life, always remember, so many of you will be great leaders, you will be entrepreneurs, you will have your own businesses, you will be leading great organizations. Always remain agile in what you do. And we are looking forward, Dr. Patra, Honorable Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, we are so grateful to you for being here as the chief guest to enlighten all the members of this conference. We are looking forward for your deliberations, but thank you for being there. Mr. Nishant Govil, the MD of BlackRock, who is getting a leadership award from the business school, and Ms. Moku, who is also getting an award. We are so grateful to you. We always look at who are the leaders in the industry who can be role models for our students, because one conviction we have, the mission that Dr. Chauhan has given to all of us is that we have to nurture the future leaders of this world who will make this world a better place, who will make organizations better. It is leaders like you who motivate the young people, who give them a goal, where to go, how to proceed. With that, Dr. Sanjeev, once again, all the very best wishes for the next 3 days. Congratulations. Dr. Chauhan, you are one of the greatest leaders. There are tens and tens of thousands of Amitians working around the world under your leadership. There are over 500,000 members of the Amity family who have grown under your leadership, under your vision. with one aim to work so hard day in, day out to make not only our country a great superpower, but to make this world a better place. So Dr. Chauhan, thank you so much for your leadership. All the best to everyone.
Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you, sir, for such far-sighted thoughts and enriching insights. Sir, under your dynamic leadership and vision, Amity University continuously strives for the uncompromising quality and the highest standards of excellence and ensures continuous engagement in the scholarly activities in the pursuit of innovation and creativity. Sir, we are all blessed to work, learn, and grow under your dynamic leadership. May I now request Dr. Vijay Chaturvedi, Professor, Amity Business School and Co-Chairperson GLRC 2022, to introduce our illustrious and eminent chief guest, Dr. Sasmit Patra, to the august audience.
Thank you, Dr. Sareen. A very gladful and compassionate good evening to all. I feel privileged and grateful to be given this opportunity to introduce esteemed chief guest of the ceremony, Dr. Sasmit Patra, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. Along with current positional responsibilities, Sir has membership of other Parliament roles, including Vice Chairman, Rajya Sabha in the panel of Vice Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Member, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personnel, Pension and Grievance Law and Justice, Member, Parliamentary Consultative Committee on External Affairs, Member, Parliamentary Joint Committee on Office of Profit, and Chief Whip of Biju Janata Dal Parliamentary Party in the Rajya Sabha. Political responsibilities include Executive Committee, to Member State Council, followed by General Secretary and National Spokesperson of BJP. Dr. Patra is a PhD in Business Management, MBA in the area of OB and HR, LLB Honors Specialization in Corporate Law. As an avid and dynamic teacher, Sir's learning have created a distinctive difference in reputed institutions wherein the formal professional roles includes serving as former dean at Xavier's Amlin Business School, the first Indo-French business schools in India, Exim University, Bhubaneswar. Also, he had directed as Associate Dean for International Programs at
Ma'am, if you don't mind, can we?
So please allow, it will hardly take a minute. The privilege is all ours.
Dr. Chaturvedi, since Dr. Patra has requested, so I will just like to say one word about you, Dr. Patra, Honorable Founder President, sir, Chancellor, sir. I had a privilege to interact with Dr. Patra through mail last year, where he sent me a mail to know about national education policy, and it was the beginning. I found him to be very humble and very intellectual in his approach, and that was the reason in the first opportunity I requested him to be here. Thank you so very much, Dr. Patra. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, and thanks to Amity University for inviting me to this very illustrious 7th Global Research Conference, 7th Global Leadership Research Conference at Amity University from today for the next 3 days. And the theme is Leading in the New Reality, Insights into Actions. Firstly, I'd like to thank Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji, the founder president, for his invitation. Dr. Atul Chauhan ji, the Chancellor of Amity University, Professor Dr. Sanjeev Bansal ji, the Dean, Dr. Vinamra Jain ji, the Organizing Secretary, Dr. Vijay Chaturvedi ji, Co-Chairperson, Professor Dr. Balvinder Shukla ji, the Vice Chancellor, Sri Sanjeev Sanyal ji, the Principal Economic Advisor, Ministry of Finance, Ms. Akansha Arora ji, Deputy Director, Economic Division, Ministry of Finance, Dr. Carl Moore, Associate Professor at McGill University, Canada, and we have Mr. Nishant Govilji, Managing Director, Head of India BlackRock, Ms. Arundhati Mukku, President HR Coffee Day Beverages, and we have a very illustrious person with us, and I've been told Dr. A.K. Nagpal, who has been instrumental in being a pillar of strength for Amity University. It's very interesting to know that Amity has decided to go ahead with this conference on the theme that has been placed. It's a very interesting theme. And the fact that Amity places a tremendous responsibility and focus on leadership is a welcome news for me, having been a professor of organizational behavior, where leadership is only looked at in psychometrics or in terms of surveys that are really passed on to students to identify them. In fact, leadership is again a misnomer in more than one ways, which I believe. Why? Because whenever you say leader, immediately the portrait of a politician in a khadi kurta pajama suddenly appears. Now, that unfortunately has redefined leadership the way we see today. You say, oh, the leader is coming, and suddenly people think a politician is coming. But leadership is from a housewife in the home running her family, a homemaker, to the prime minister of the country. Everybody is a leader. But having said that, let me divide. I have very little time. We're supposed to end up at 6. So I'll probably reduce it to about 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll try to wrap up as much as possible. The first aspect that I'd like to focus on is, what is the new reality? When we talk about leading in the new reality, what is the new reality that we're really looking at? The new reality is a reality where uncertainty is there. A new reality where disruptive technologies are going to be a part and parcel of our life. A new reality where greater transparency will be required of industries, where there'll be scarcer talent, where there'll be steeper timelines, where there'll be real-time transformation needs in the businesses. And at the same point of time, policies and procedures of government will change real time. Whether that is in terms of manufacturing sector, it is in terms of services sector, or the government moving away from running public sector enterprises and disinvestment to becoming a government that focuses only on core sectors of education and healthcare and agriculture. So while we see that there is, of course, the COVID pandemic, and eminent speakers before me have already spoken at length, and I would not like to dwell again on the same aspect of COVID, because it is, of course, turned us uncertain, but it's also given us a lot of opportunities that we need to really look at. What are those opportunities? The aspect of a gig economy coming out. What is this aspect of gig economy? It's very interesting. I don't have time to really go into research specifics about it, but gig economy where an individual, a professor, decides one day to say, okay, Dr. Chauhan, thank you for your service. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. But now I want to be a person on my own. I want to be an independent professor. Now, can someone be an independent professor and continue his profession? Now, that is the new normal that we are going to look at. So very soon, businesses, because we have moved on, because of the COVID pandemic, into a hybrid mode, and more businesses are focusing and really relooking at how we can reduce real estate costs and increase a better productivity through work at home or through remote working, which was earlier the norm outside India, has become a norm in India now. We're going to look at new ways of engagement of people at workplace. So for the faculty and the students, and especially the students of Amity who are hearing us right now, and having been a business school professor, I do understand that usually we talk about business school teachings from the realms of a corporate office, which is hemmed in along by cabins. But that's not going to be the new normal. The new normal will be where there is going to be an aspirational workforce, where a gig economy, where you're going to have more and more independent people who are going to tag in through a hub and spoke model, where the hub is small inside an organization, but the spoke is where most of your employees are, and they're integrating in a hub and spoke model. We're going to see going forward a lot of reforms happening. Now, what are those reforms? Those reforms we're going to see in terms of labor reforms. Those reforms we will see in terms of disinvestment. Those reforms we will see in terms of taxation, and overall reforms relating to probably deregulation of many certain sectors and greater private equity and foreign direct investment. Then we're going to have all of this coming in. You're going to see a transformational change at workplace. This transformational change at workplace, what would it want? What would it need? As Dr. Chauhan was saying, and of course, Dr. Ashok Chauhan and Dr. Atul Chauhan, and before them, we had Dr. Mo speaking about it. And of course, we had Shri Sanjeev Sanyal ji speaking about how he went through the entire 2-year process of looking at various strategies of decision making, leadership is going to be very crucial. Now, leadership, leading into this new reality, this unseen reality, this uncertain reality, the VUCA model that we usually talk about, the models of leadership that we have always studied is going to change now. What is leading into the new reality rather? This new reality is forming, as we say. This new reality is not a state of mind. It is not a state which is fixed. It is dynamic. It's in a state of flux. And this state of flux is ever changing every single day. Disruptive technologies, greater competitiveness, increased corporatization, increased internationalization is going to let businesses not breathe easy any single night. And that is where a business school student has to really realize that what is the leadership that he's going to look at. Now, the leadership that we are talking about here, and business schools, we excel in talking about types of leadership. We love talking about types of leadership. We borrow from Stephen P. Robbins, we borrow from here and there, and we try to identify and say, oh, there are 4 types of leadership. Oh, there are 7 styles of leadership. There are 8 styles of leadership. There are 10 styles of leadership. Oh, there are leadership relating to, moral leadership, bureaucratic leadership, participative leadership, innovative leadership, strategic leadership, moral leadership, etc., etc., etc. And the first word that is prefixed to the word leadership becomes the USP or the competency. We say if somebody has strategic leadership, then the person's USP is strategy. If somebody is a transactional leader, then transaction-based system of operations is his leadership style. But the fact is, there is that specific area of leadership that I'd like to leave you today with in the next 2 minutes and I close. And that is authentic leadership. Authentic leadership to me, personally, encompasses all of it and more. Dr. Atul Chauhan was talking about adaptive, very true. We have to look at every situation as it unfolds and adapt to it. It also requires moral leadership. It encompasses everything of it. So what is this authentic leadership? All of you are aware about authentic leadership, especially the business school professors. It'd be stupid of me to talk about authentic leadership, but I'll tell it in one simple line. Authentic leadership is being yourself. Sometimes we talk about jargons, and sometimes jargons weigh our minds and spirits inside business school classrooms so heavily that it weighs heavy on our heads and on the heads of the students. So therefore, if we were to cut down the jargons and reduce abbreviations, and from the 4 P's of marketing to the 7 S's of strategy, and keep it very simple and say, let's be ourselves. I am what I am. And in this new reality that is unfolding before me, which is unknown to me, I will deal with that in a manner of what I am made up of. As I go forward as a student, as a corporate manager, as an entrepreneur, as an industrialist, as a business owner, I am going to own up what is in front of me in a measure of humility and being myself. If I'm arrogant inside, my arrogance will reflect. If I'm humble inside, my traits of humility will reflect. If I'm entrepreneurial, it would also reflect. So whatever I'm made of will reflect in my leadership style in leading into the new reality. One last thing and I'll close. The second part was turning insights into actions. And this is a research conference. So I would like to just end with a very small insight that I have. We usually have research conferences and we publish a lot of papers. And I can see most of us are a PhD. You're all doctorates and we have pride in that. How much of the research that we do in our classrooms or outside our classrooms or in our cabins actually turns into action? If we were to really look at Amity University and if we were to revisit all the doctoral theses that are lined up inside your university, how much of that research has turned into action? If I look at myself, my PhD thesis, did I turn beyond it being a doctoral thesis? Did I turn it into something actionable beyond the research papers I wrote, the articles that I wrote, the citations that I had, or the doctoral manuscript that I created? I think it is time that we have to realize in research, especially in India, if we have to truly move forward, if we want to really bring in innovation, there's one thing that we have to do is walk the talk. Research should not stay in the realms of journals and papers and books and manuscripts. It has to be applied. If someone writes a case study in terms of rural economy or rural marketing, can that understanding of rural marketing and rural economy finds its space in a self-help group? If someone writes about women's empowerment in business, does it find its space in women's self-help groups and their development? Unless and until we move the knowledge that we create inside our research facilities and classrooms into the fields of the farmers, into the governance mechanism of the government, into the healthcare sector, to the education sector, we will have jargons, but we will not have action. And lastly, I conclude, just giving one last insight. Innovation, to me, is the key if we want to lead into the new reality. Interestingly, in August 2021, the government of India informed the Rajya Sabha, the Honorable Minister informed Rajya Sabha, that India spends only 0.7% of its GDP every year on research and development. From 2014-15 to 2018-19, this was the data set. Let's look, and interestingly, while across major countries, 70% of such expenditure, which is gross expenditure on research and development, comes from the private sector, in India, it's less than 40%. If you were to look at a comparative figure, it's very interesting further. Austria spends 3.2%. We, as per 2018-19 statistics, I'm going, not on 2020-22, but in 2018-19, as per the data provided by government, we were 0.7%, Austria was 3.2%, China was 2.4%, Israel, a small, tiny country hemmed by its enemies with the rockets fired at it, spends 4.9% of its GDP on research and development. And we go to them, buy arms and ammunitions, $1 million deals, and we come back from a very tiny country. And the reason is leadership thought. Where are we investing? We have to identify that. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Dr. Chauhan. Thank you, Amity. Thank you, Professor Shukla, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful, valuable thoughts, words, and deliberations that you just mentioned. In fact, your worthy view gives us a new perspective in looking at the dynamics of the changing world, which is filled with uncertainty and unclarity. In fact, the concept that you've used, authentic leadership, this is what we truly believe in, and our very respected honorable founder, sir, has always been working on this concept of authentic leadership. We're all so thankful to him for his divine blessings and his gracious presence. Thank you so much, sir. We are indeed so very thankful to you that you are here with us today for your gracious presence, and your presence has deeply infused enthusiasm and motivation to all of us.
I would like to say one sentence to Sambit Patra ji. Dr. Sambit Patra ji, are you still there?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And we have
Patra ji hai, sir.
Dr. Patra is there.
Excellent.
Yes,
I always say, जब debate पे होते हो या political debate में, hot debate.
I think he's thinking I'm Sambit of BJP. I'm with BJD. सर मैं बीजू जनता दल का हूँ. आप शायद संबित पात्रा from भारतीय जनता पार्टी को सोच रहे हैं. मैं बीजू जनता दल से हूँ. तो we are different.
Yes.
Whatever you are, but I have heard you in different debates, because I am not always thinking of party oriented. I think the national building oriented, but your zanoon, your obsession for the nation building is something unparalleled that I wanted to touch.
Thank you.
आपके कोई सवालों का जवाब नहीं होता, और जब I know, because I know Sambit Patra from BJP and I know you, और आपके जवाबों का कोई सवाल नहीं होता, ये मैंने note करा है. So that I wanted to say, and not on the platform now. I'll ask sometime to you. You spoke very well about leadership. What is the difference between a political leadership and a corporate leadership? I don't know if you're comfortable to reply this question to my students.
I would love to take the question, sir.
Right.
Corporate leadership, to me,
Right.
is his primary responsibility is the stakeholders.
Right.
Not the shareholders. Stakeholders, as in right down from the the usual suppliers, vendors, employees, shareholders, etc., etc. But a political leader, if he's truly a political leader, he is responsible to every single voter who has voted him to become what he has become.
Right.
So his perspective will not be aligned with the, like we talk about goal congruency. We
Right.
talk about corporate goal congruency, where my goals as a corporate leader needs to be aligned with the goals of my organization. Just like your professors here, their goals need to have goal congruency with Amity University. But a political leader, his goal congruency is not necessarily with the organization or with the stakeholders. A political leader, if he's truly political leader, his goal congruency will be the goal congruency of his constituents, of the people. He belongs to the people. It does not belong to the organization. So that's why I always say that pehle mati, fir party. First the soil, first the people. If you people are with you, then the party will uphold you. If you're not with the people, the party will forget you. That should be the political leader.
Very right, and very rightly apt answer. I know, sir, I'm hearing you from that party also, Biju Patnaik party, and but I was always amazed the way you tackle the questions and the day you reply the questions. That was what I wanted to say, and I'm grateful that in today's time, where every hour is very busy for the political situation, you still came to address my brilliant students. And Carl Moore told that Amity Business School, among the best business school in the country and globally. You know, that gives me the motivation when Carl Moore, who is a world leader, tells about my students. But I'm grateful that you came. We will contact you quite often because I was quite impressed what I heard from you. Thank you.
Honorable Founder President, sir, with your permission, though we have 3 Amity Excellence awardees. So if you permit,
Right.
can we award them firstly, since your presence is there, Dr. Chok?
Yes, definitely.
Dr. Pooja, please.
Yes, sir. So well said. Excellence is the unlimited ability to improve the quality of what you have to offer. The Amity Excellence Award is an attempt to recognize and acknowledge the achievement of organizations and individuals with respect to leadership, enterprise, creativity, innovation, strategy, and above all, quality culture. We take immense pleasure in felicitating and conferring upon to the chosen distinguished organizations and seasoned academicians the prestigious Amity Excellence Award.
I take immense pride in announcing the first awardee, Dr. Carl Moore, Associate Professor, Desautels Faculty of Management, McGill University, Canada, and Associate, Green Templeton College, Oxford University, UK. Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, with full honor confers the Amity Excellence Award upon Dr. Carl Moore for his outstanding contribution in the field of management education. May I request Dr. Anupma R., Professor, Amity Business School, to kindly present the citation.
It is my pleasure to read the citation. We honor Dr. Carl Moore with the Amity Excellence Award during the 7th Global Leadership Research Conference 2022 for his outstanding contribution in the field of management education. Dr. Carl Moore teaches graduate courses in strategy and leadership in the McGill's Faculty of Management. He has taught extensively in executive education and MBA programs with leading universities like Oxford, Stanford, LBS, Harvard Business School, Cambridge, IMD, Darden, Renmin, Cornell, INSEAD, and IIM Bangalore. He has recently nominated for the 2017 Thinkers 50 Distinguished Achievement Awards in the leadership category for his work on introverts and extroverts in the C-suite and millennials. Dr. Moore's publications include 28 refereed journal articles, 10 books or edited volumes, 14 chapters in books, 31 executive articles, and dozens of conference papers. His research has received more than 3,500 Google Scholar citations. His research has been published in a number of leading journals like the SMJ, GIBS, Human Relations, Management International Review, Business History, Marketing Management, World Business, and across the board. His current research is on Generation X and introvert, ambivert, extrovert leaders. His recent book, It's Okay, Boomer, How to Effectively Work with Millennials, Generation X, and Z, has been very well received. He has been a consultant to leading global firms like Nokia, Air Canada, Lufthansa, British Airways, IBM, HP, Shell, Volvo, Accenture, Lilly, and Pfizer. His research articles have appeared in the Financial Times, the New York Times, the LA Times, the Independent, and the Guardian. He's a regular guest in the media and appears on CNN, BBC, CBC, CTV, and global television. He has given over 3,500 press interviews in his career. It is with utmost respect that Amity Business School, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh confers the Excellence Award upon Dr. Carl Moore.
May I now very humbly request our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan sir, very respected Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Balvinder Shukla ma'am, and our very esteemed Dean, Faculty of Management Studies and Director, Amity Business School, Dr. Sanjeev Bansal sir, to virtually present the Amity Excellence Award to Dr. Carl Moore. May I now request Dr. Carl Moore to kindly accept the award and deliver his acceptance speech.
Well, I accept this award with great delight and joy. It is indeed an honor for one of the top business schools in India and one of the better ones in the world to give me this honor. And it reflects on, I think, of how many mentors I've had, like Professor Henry Mintzberg and Nancy Adler and so on, that have helped me through many years, and a lot of plain good luck as well. So appreciate this great honor, and it is very much accepted with joy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, with full honor, confers upon BlackRock the Amity Excellence Award for outstanding contribution in the field of investment management. May I now request Ms. Kritika Dasgupta, Head Corporate Resource Center, Amity Business School, to kindly present the citation.
Thank you, Jaya ma'am. It is with immense pleasure I read the citation. We honor BlackRock Incorporation with the Amity Excellence Award during the 7th Global Leadership Research Conference 2022 for outstanding contribution in the field of investment management. BlackRock Incorporation is the world's largest asset management company with $10 trillion in assets under management as of January 2022. It is an American multinational investment management corporation based in New York City. It was founded in 1988, initially as a risk management and a fixed income institutional asset manager. BlackRock now operates globally with 70 offices in 30 countries and clients in 100 countries. The main purpose of the company is to help more and more people experience financial well-being. Millions of people invest to build savings that serve them throughout their lives. BlackRock makes investing easier and more affordable. They advance sustainable investing because their conviction is to deliver better outcomes for investors. They contribute to a more resilient economy that benefits more people. Together with their clients, they are contributing to a more equitable and resilient world today and for generations to come. BlackRock is putting the markets within the reach of all investors, companies, iShares, ETFs, and are revolutionizing investing by making it easier for anyone to access market opportunities anywhere. BlackRock invests clients' money in companies of all types and sizes in every region of the world, helping those companies grow and create jobs and enabling economies and societies to prosper. BlackRock believes in the power of transparency to hold themselves and others accountable for continuous progress. As the world transitions to a low-carbon economy, BlackRock clients want to understand how to address climate risks in their portfolios. That's why BlackRock provides more sustainable investment options than anyone else and makes sustainability the standard for how they manage their clients' money. It is with utmost respect that Amity Business School, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh confers the Amity Excellence Award upon BlackRock Incorporation on 16 February 2022.
May I now request Honorable Founder President Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan Sir, Honorable Chancellor Dr. Atul Chauhan Sir, respected Vice Chancellor Dr. Balwinder Shukla Ma'am, and esteemed Dean FMS and Director ABS Dr. Sanjeev Bansal Sir, to present the Amity Excellence Award to BlackRock. We have with us Mr. Nishant Govil, Managing Director, BlackRock. In his role, Mr. Govil drives connectivity across technology and operations with key partners and continues to cultivate enterprise talent and ensure alignment with other IPE hub locations. Mr. Govil holds a postgraduate diploma in digital business from MIT and Columbia Business School, and also a diploma in data science from IIIT Bangalore. He is an alumni of IIM Calcutta and has also earned his BTech degree in electronics from REC Kurukshetra. May I now request Mr. Nishant Govil to kindly accept the award on behalf of BlackRock and deliver the acceptance speech.
Thank you very much. I am humbled, honored, and excited to be here. I also recognize the presence of all the dignitaries, all the doctors, Honorable Member of Parliament who have spoken really very interesting talks. It's a great opportunity to connect and act as a bridge between two great institutes, BlackRock on one side and Amity on another. I think both institutes create wonderful future for our men and women and also hugely contribute to the society. In the introduction, we heard about BlackRock being a purpose-driven firm. I think we also connect the purpose of the firm with the purpose of our young talent, enabling them to create wonderful careers for themselves. Amity and BlackRock had a great partnership over the last 9 years where we have created mutually beneficial relationships, and the students have done really well for themselves and for us. So with that, I thank once again on behalf of BlackRock, I thank everybody present over here. And thank you very much. I'm very happy to accept the award. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughtful and enriching words and your gracious presence. We look forward to a long-term mutually beneficial relationship between Amity Business School.
Dr. Pooja, the Chancellor sir wants to say something. Just 1 second.
Yes. No, I just wanted to personally congratulate Mr. Govil for your exceptional leadership. I think our country is privileged to have leaders like you who are doing such a tremendous job. Heading such a tremendous international financial powerhouse in our country is a big responsibility what you're doing, but especially for the partnership with Amity that you have nurtured, and you are part of, I always say, part of the Amity family for what you are doing for young Amitians. So very, very grateful for that. Thank you, Mr. Govil.
Thank you, Dr. Atul. Thank you very much. I reciprocate the feelings.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chancellor, sir, for your always so motivating words. And it really infuses a lot of enthusiasm to each one of us. I now take the pleasure of announcing the next awardee of the evening. Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, with full honor, confers upon Coffee Day Beverages the Amity Excellence Award for the outstanding contribution in the field of gourmet coffee vending chain. May I now request Dr. Priyanka Agarwal, Professor, Amity Business School, to kindly present the citation.
Thank you, Jaya ma'am. It's my pleasure to read the citation. We honor Coffee Day Beverages with the Amity Excellence Award during the 7th Global Leadership Research Conference 2022 for outstanding contribution in the field of gourmet coffee vending chain. Coffee Day Beverages has embarked on a dynamic journey to become the largest fresh milk roasted coffee beans vending chain with a distinct brand identity of its own. It has become the largest player in the segment with 1.5 billion cups of coffee served annually through 44,000 plus machines installed across 30,000 plus client locations. Coffee Day Beverages brings the finest gourmet coffees from around the world right where the customers are. Its presence across various formats consists of corporates, government offices, hotels and restaurants, automobile showrooms, jewelry showrooms, apparel stores, airport lounges, railway stations, road transport hubs, petrol stations, malls, schools, colleges, and hospitals. Its clients cover top IT sector companies, banking and finance sector companies, premium five-star hotels, telecom, media and advertising, co-working, real estate, among others. Coffee Day Beverages have made freshness an integral part of the vending machine proposition. This enables them to deliver the satisfaction of a freshly brewed cup of coffee. Companies' machines roll out from the state-of-art ISO 9001-2015 certified production lines nestled in Bangalore. Our Dynamic Research and Development Center is an integral part of the factory which focuses on innovation in technology. It is with utmost respect that Amity Business School, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh confers the Amity Excellence Award upon Coffee Day Beverages. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Priyanka. May I now request our Honorable Founder President, Sir Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, Honorable Chancellor Dr. Atul Chauhan, Sir, respected Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Balvinder Shukla, ma'am, and the esteemed Dean, FMS and Director, ABS, Dr. Sanjeev Bansal, sir, to kindly present the Amity Excellence Award to Coffee Day Beverages. We are extremely happy to mention that today we have the gracious presence of Ms. Arundhati Mukul, Head HR, Coffee Day Global Limited, who's a complete people-oriented leader. She's a highly rich, experienced and HR professional who has demonstrated history of working with various industries. Ms. Arundhati is skilled in management, leadership, planning, talent management, general administration, and the list goes on. Acclaimed strong HR leader with expertise in setting up new businesses, leading the HR teams, creating performance-driven cultures, managing conflicts, and the most important, creating an engaged workforce across all organizations where she has been performing. May I now request Ms. Arundhati Mukul, Head HR, to kindly accept the award on behalf of Coffee Day Beverages and deliver the acceptance speech.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jaya. Thank you so much. It's been, first and foremost, it's been an honor to be a part of today's evening. I'm really, really thankful to the entire Amity Business School team for this honor. We at Coffee Day are very humbled by this award, and we are extremely excited to receive such an honor from one of the leading universities in the country. It's been a great honor, and we hope we continue our valuable association with Amity. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mukul, for the acceptance, and your words have totally mesmerized all of us.
Ms. Mukul, congratulations. At Amity, we were always very privileged that India's first Cafe Coffee Day concept at a university campus was at Amity, and was taken as an example, we were told, and then it's expanded to many universities across the country. And I think our students have enjoyed the benefit of your organization since many, many years.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Mukul. Very few people in this universe have the willpower, clairvoyancy, and far-sighted vision to change the society, nation, and the world. I am fortunate to know one of such great leaders, known with various names, the man with Midas touch, the Barter King, and the people who know him closely describe him as an entrepreneur, an educationist, a philanthropist, a doctor, a priest, a psychiatrist, a humble person all in one, the man behind this entire Amity universe spread over all the 7 continents in this world. Our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan. His vast profile goes in dozens of pages. I wanted to introduce our head of family, but I am being directed by Honorable Founder President Sir himself not to read his profile in front of his very own students, faculty, alumni, and worthy guests, as most of them know him. And I fully agree with this statement. it happened today also. In last many years, whomsoever I meet, who has the privilege to meet our founder president, they always say we know him very well. Today also, when I was welcoming our guest for pre-conference workshop, the guest, Dr. Deepak Khajanchi from Nebraska University, very fondly told me about his visit to meet Dr. Chauhan, and the list goes on. As I have told you, I am in a very big dilemma since I am being told by our honorable founder president himself not to introduce him. I cannot go further. I request all the present here to welcome our honorable founder president, sir, with great claps. Sir, I am so sorry, but you, you, you sent me a mail also, so I could not. There are so many things I wanted that everyone should present here should be knowing about you, but everyone knows you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Sanjeev Bansal, against each one I thought there is a secret. You have listened our very worthy, unparalleled competent world leader Atul Chauhan ji. And if people know that now Dr. Ashok Chauhan is father of Atul Chauhan, then they know my worthiness, because if son has become so worthy, then naturally a credit and compliment goes to me also. So therefore, it was not required, because as you have been always depicted and telling that Atul Chauhan ji is a great leader, and we are so proud to have him as head of the foundation, RBF, the chancellor and chancellor of many universities. So I think the environment here at MET, today I was listening since the speech of my very worthy vice chancellor. She has practiced from 7th session of your global leadership research matters, which your conference is doing, and the way Dr. Shukla has developed herself within these last 22 years, I say she is the best vice chancellor in the country. So what can be the better example and exercise that from this leadership award, leadership research, speakings, listenings, that we learn about it. We adopt, we follow it. So today, when I heard Professor Karl Moore or Sasmit Patra or other speakers, Mr. Nishant Govil, we gave award, Arundhati Muku, Akanksha, I think it is really very interesting to see their views about leadership. Mr. Sanyal told about the leadership qualities, how to become a good leader. He also told that during COVID, how he navigated our country with his economic advice, that we were the only country who could manage COVID in such a unflawful way. And also he told us that our GDP will be between 8 to 9%. And India is the fastest growing country in the world. My dear students, can you imagine India, the fastest growing country in the world, and the credit goes to my 1,75,000, well, 85 is now, Atul was telling now 85, students, 10,000 faculty members, researchers. I think we are a different sort of society. I have never even imagined, and nobody has helped me to know any other educational institution has such people as we have. So Sanjeev Bansal, I am so glad that you have organized this leadership research conference, because I am working day and night and thinking to develop more and more leadership systems and qualities. And soon I will declare my leadership school. I'm thinking of the name Gerin, G-E-R-I-N, Gerin School of Leadership. And many people will ask, what is Gerin? It is still not decided, but the name is G from Germany, E for Europe, although there is Russia, then R or I am India. You won't, my dear student, you will not find a second person who has in all these countries such deep experience from starting from zero to become among the top leaders. So I think, which I want to always share my students, when I hear my alumni, I'm amazed. I'm amazed. It is very difficult to believe that they have reached to such great heights. But then I have to believe him because Sanjeev Bansal or other HYs tell background from which batch they were. So all those students, those who are listening this, I would say one thing, in the atmosphere teaching of MBT, you can achieve anything in life you would dream. I don't think there is any other place in the world. I will not name the Western universities. Once our group vice chancellor, Dr. Garinder Singh, was in New York in a very named university, and they wanted to have a lecture from him. He told, sir, should I tell them how we make our students a great alumni? I told, okay, everything can do, technology they can learn, innovation they can learn, and everything they can learn. But these values and such scars, which we give at MIT, no one can give it because that is nurtured, that comes from decades and centuries. So all my students, why they become so successful, because the important aspect for any success is values and sanskars. I was thinking that Atulji has made the slogan, research and innovation driven university. And I'll put him a proposal. Can we add to that research and innovation driven university and also values and sanskar driven university? Because in COVID, we have seen how many of my students, faculty members, research scholars have taken care of their parents, grandparents, in-laws. That is the real value, because you can be a multi-billionaire, but if you don't have the character, you don't have the qualities, if you don't have the virtues to understand this. So this is what is being done at our MIT University. That is why all students, those who are listening, you put an aim today on a paper, what you want to do. And if you don't achieve, then that is my failure. That is my failure, because it is all dream. When I came in 1994 from West Germany, that time it was already Germany, with 28 years of stay. That time ABS was in sector 44. So I used to have many functions there in the auditorium. So I remembered one day, about a week back, I declared something, and Moina Dhar had made a placard and put it on the wall. I requested chairperson, can you get me a photograph of that? And chairperson very fast, within minutes that photograph came, and it is written there, India 2030, colon, a global superpower. So I was myself amazed, Sanjeev Bansal, that time, nobody in the country could dare or have courage to articulate this. I am myself amazed, but I articulated it, and as smart as the principles of chairperson are, they made a placard, and since then it is hanging in sector 44 auditorium. You can go and see. Why I'm telling it, if any of my students have ambition, he want to achieve something, then you have at the helm of the affairs, Dr. Nagpal know it, his daily conversation with me, he knows it. If you have a determination to succeed, nobody can stop you, but I have given you all virtues, qualities, teaching, and everything. The only difficult thing is to dream and say, I would be this. And if a student comes to me, sir, I want to be a billionaire, I will become a little thoughtful. He said, no, we have told too much to our founder president. I'll say, no, I was thinking, do you want to be a billionaire in rupees, in dollar, in euro, in pound sterling? So that tells that every one of my students with such brilliant faculty members, you have just now heard the name of here, few faculty members, those who were among others, very much involved. Professor Anupama, Priyanka, Jaya. Jaya is, I think, more than 20 years with me, if I'm not
Yes,
wrong.
sir. Yes, sir.
Started from the Haryana campus, or?
Absolutely, sir. I very well remember, sir, the day you took my interview. It was Monday, my fast, and you were so gracious, and you were having lunch at that time, and you took out your apple and you gave it to me. I still remember that very, very kind action of yours, sir.
Which
So
year
thank you
was
so
this?
much.
Which year was this? Which year was this?
Sir, that was
94. It must be before we. I think we were there very much in the.
Yes, sir, that was year 2000, sir.
Okay.
I very well remember. Yes, sir. August 2000, sir. And I'm so thankful to you, sir, that you always remember me, sir. Thank you so much.
I always remember my top people.
Yes.
Nowadays, at least at Noida campus, I know almost about everybody, not him or her, but also about the family, because they are my stars. They will make the MIT University the best in the country, and they will make the MIT University among the best in the world. One day, an American industrialist came and I told him that my university will be the best in the world. So he saw with a great suspicion, I could see that he has difficulty in understanding. I told him, sir, can you come to one of our functions where thousands of students are sitting and see them, counsel with them? So one day he came. He came in the I2 auditorium and sat for about 2 hours, saw my faculty member, researchers, students. He told, sorry, Dr. Chauhan, I was that day suspicious. It must have hurt you. But seeing your student, your faculty member, researcher, I believe 100% that MIT University will surpass everybody, even the schools or college or universities, those who are 600 years old. I have been delivering lectures in all Harvard with 28 State, Cambridge, Oxford, Yale, everywhere I was delivering, because I tell you, if you are successful, I'm not a member of parliament, I'm not a minister, I'm not anybody who gets respect because of the title. I am a person, people say this person has achieved something. That is why they give me respect, love, and affection. So my dear student, if you get success, people will respect you. People will respect you. And I always tell to my student, through this leadership summits, leadership conferences, try to learn and try to be best leader. So much has been told here. I did learn myself to accommodate to the new situations. And today is the third day of a big workshop going on at your campus in Noida on virtual mode. 30 commandants of BSF, you know the BSF at different places in the world, with which they are fighting for adversaries. These 30 commandants, Dr. Nitin Batra, who is the head of the MIT Student Training and Development, is conducting this program. I was listening quite a lot. If you always go on thinking, how can we be the best leader? Nobody can stop you. I have not read any book of leadership. Other books, yes, but not leadership. I have not heard the TED speakers, but I have practiced it myself. I practiced this from zero to come to this stage. That is why I told to Sanjeev Bansal, you need not to introduce me. Any wise person will say, oh, this person must have been a good background, because to reach to this stage, it's not easy. A lot of challenges will come. And my dear student, about COVID, I pay my respect to all those who have faced adversities at their home and family and relations. This is the time which has come after Second World War. 100 years, we did not have such pandemic, such big crisis, but we have, with great values and sanskars and our theories, surpassed it. And I would say, the other day there was a very senior minister. So I told my COVID formula, which I'll tell you. He told, our COVID will go, but Dr. Chauhan's COVID will never go. What is that formula? I told create opportunities via innovative determination. Create opportunities via innovative determination. Innovation has so much power. China was having supersonic missile, ballistic missiles. The one day I heard they have made a hypersonic ballistic missiles. I ran up Dr. Murthy 12 o'clock in the night. I told hypersonic ballistic missiles is 5 times faster than supersonic. Dr. Murthy, tell to my MTech students, we should try to develop. Our brain is unparalleled. There is no one in the world who can compare with we Indians. No one. Do you think that if it weren't so, the 6,000 Germans and Europeans will salute me? Will they so? Because they think that we are better Indians. वहाँ तो सड़क पे गाय बैठती है, सपेरे हैं. But when they salute me, it means we have unparalleled strength. ऋषि मुनियों का जो आशीर्वाद है, जो उनका संस्कार है, किस देश में है ये? So that way, I would say that we can achieve everything what you like, and therefore, my student, all those who are attending, those who are not attending, we'll give you the URL. You see it, listen it, and all those spoke some Patra, and they gave so much valuable lessons. If we practice it, we can achieve everything. So all my faculty members, those who have worked very hard under the leadership of Sanjeev Bansal, my Vice Chancellor spoke very well. Atulji, I am so grateful to you that you spare time. It shows how much you love your students. Atulji is always likes, loves, adores his students, his faculty members, and his brother Asim Chauhan, and everybody in the family. Everybody is a leader here. Ajit is a leader, Abhay is a leader, Abol is a leader, Sapna is a leader, chairperson, the greatest leader. So there is an atmosphere of leadership research, Sanjeev Bansal, and that is why we together, after sharing this with students, my dear student, again, last word, dream, tell what you want to achieve, whatever you want to achieve, you will do it because you breathe in the air where everything is there. And to my professors, everybody, my compliment, my blessings, my appreciation that we have such successful conference. Sanjeev Bansal told, sir, would you come in the inauguration? Because yes, I will come definitely. Sir, he was very hesitant to ask, would you also come in the valedictory? I tell, yes, there is no conference happening at the campus where I go to both, but you know how much I love my ABS students since 1994. You just seen this Pankaj Singh, who just for the election, he was my first batch MBA from Sector 44, he has done it. So my blessings, I think, great and all the best. Everybody should become a great leader. When you're a great leader, you can achieve everything in life. Thank you very much.
And I request everyone to put a big round of applause for our Honorable Founder President, sir.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your divine blessing, sir. Thank you so much for your divine blessing and your gracious presence, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So we humbly thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your gracious presence and visionary thoughts. So we are all so fortunate and proud to be a part of the university, which has a transformational leader and a visionary founder president. Sir, your worthy guidance is always highly solicited by each one of us. You are a great source of inspiration. May I now request Dr. Vinamra Jain, Organizing Secretary.
Dr. Sareen.
Dr. Pooja, Dr. Patra is still here.
Yeah, Dr. Sareen, Dr. Chauhan, sorry I disturbed you. You are about to conclude. I actually stayed on because, you know, I wanted to hear the man who's truly revolutionized education the way we know in the private sector. Education has always been there in the public area through IITs, IIMs. But Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji, I mean, you know, I myself being an academician, I've always marveled how being an individual deciding to do education in a country like India, which was 30 years back, to be able to set up something like an Amity University and to have blossomed it into a huge banyan tree where thousands of students find refuge and growth and development. And that is why, despite my private secretary repeatedly telling me that I have to go for an election campaign rally, I'm in Odisha now. I'm in Sundargarh district where our Zilla Parishad elections are on. I wanted to hear you, sir, because you have been an inspiration. And I don't say it just because, you know, if I was not from the academic field, I would have never said that. But the fact is that it's truly awesome to have met someone and heard someone who thought of education and not as a business even 30 years back. So truly humbled, and thank you so much. It was lovely listening to you. Thank you. Sorry I interrupted.
No, we'll keep contact with you. Now I know that your party has such people with them. That is why your party is always getting good name and good fame and growing and growing.
So kind of you, sir. You're most welcome to Odisha. You already have a campus in Odisha. A friend of mine, Professor Debrawata Kantha, was there for some time as a director. So Amity August is there.
We are dreaming to have a university there, but you know, the land problem is very difficult to get. If I get the land in 1 year, I'll start my university. But Odisha people like very much. I tell you, they have some specific qualities. They are spread all over the world. And when I find somebody from Odisha, so many bureaucrats are there, so many politicians are there.
Yes.
They are exceptionally competent. So my compliment to you.
You know, Dr. Chauhan, once I'll just take a minute and I'll just conclude. Once I was telling a member of parliament from Rajya Sabha, a friend of mine, and I said, you know, the Gujaratis are running the government. He said, Sasmit, Gujaratis are not running the government, the Odias are running the government. I said, how? He said, Mr. P.K. Mishra is the principal secretary to the Prime Minister. He's an Odia. Mr. Shakti Kant Das, the RBI governor, is an Odia. The CAG, Mr. Murmu, was an Odia. Should I still continue? I said, no, I'm fine with it. But sir, regarding the land, sir, let your office be in touch with me. I mean, Honorable CM Shri Naveen Patnaik ji is very, very strongly focused on education. And as you rightly said, Odias across the world are known for their education and for the excellence that they bring in. And I didn't know something like this is there. Please ask your office to be in touch with us. We will ensure that the land is provided. It's for a good cause, for education. Honorable CM Shri Naveen Patnaik ji always believes in that, sir. Thank you.
Sir, thank you for calling Sasmit ji. Atul ji, you have heard it. And I think
we will be in touch, Dr. Patra, with you. And because Dr. Chauhan has a great love and passion for Orissa, and our first campus really outside of the NCR was in Bhubaneswar. That shows Dr. Chauhan's love for that.
Then your first university outside of NCR should be in Odisha. Thank you, sir. We'll be in touch.
12th university, 11 are already there.
Oh, wow.
12. But I'm grateful for your readiness to help. And that is a great, I think for me, that is the biggest achievement of this conference today. Because the way you speak, I think you will help us. Because Mr. Patnaik is a great leader. I worship him. Unko naman karta hu. He's a great leader. And
sir, he'll be very happy to help, sir. Sure. Thank you. Namaskar, sir. I'll take your leave. Thank you.
So well said, Dr. Patra. Our founder president, sir, has truly transformed the educational landscape, and now we all look forward to our new campus coming soon. May I now request Dr. Vinamra Jain, Organizing Secretary, GLRC 2022, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening. I feel honored and privileged with this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks at the inaugural session of the 7th Global Leadership Research Conference 2022 in the capacity as an organizing secretary. My sincere gratitude to our visionary founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, and our very dynamic chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan sir, for providing us with amity. Thank you, sir. I have no words to thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Balvinder Shukla ma'am, for her inspiring mentorship, and our Dean FMS and Director ABS, Dr. Sanjeev Bansal sir, for his continuous support and guidance at every step. I would like to thank Dr. Patra, Dr. Sanyal, and Dr. Moore for their enticing deliberations today. I also thank all the distinguished speakers, session chairs, jury members, panelists, presenters, delegates, and our guests for their participation over the next 3 days. I would like to make a special mention to our academic and knowledge partners, University of Nebraska at Omaha, University of Winchester, Oxford Brookes University, UK, and Invest India. Furthermore, We always have had the support from industry partners like Indian Oil Corporation Limited, ONGC, and ION Consulting. I'm further grateful to the reviewers for investing their time in helping us shortlist worthy papers from the many we had received in the current season of the edition of the conference, and the publishers such as IndusScience, IGI Global, and Sage Publishing for partnering with the conference. I'm thankful to the organizing committee, with a special mention to Dr. Vijit Chaturvedi, Dr. Bagla, Dr. Vandana Ahuja, Dr. Anupama Rajesh, Dr. Rahul Gupta, Ms. Kritika Das Gupta, and all the forum and track conveners for keeping faith in me. I would also like to acknowledge all my faculty colleagues for their support and help, and importantly, for maintaining that smile on their faces even when I was giving them a hard time. Thank you very much, all of you. I'm thankful to the IT teams of Dr. Sodhi and Dr. Senthil for providing us with all the necessary support in making this virtual conference a reality. No event of this magnitude is possible without the support of student volunteers who are working tirelessly across many forums and tracks. You all have been a very good support and a great support. Furthermore, as a believer in God, we all at Amity feel that prayers can move mountains. Hence, I am sure with the blessings of the Almighty, this conference shall be a huge success and benefit the participants with a better understanding in their respective areas and give them exposure to new dimensions through the many academic discussions. Closing with the words of Albert Georgi, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. Let us embark on the journey of an insightful and enriching academic experience over the next 2 days of GLRC 2022. I once again thank everyone for their contribution and hope that this conference is a great success. Thank you.
Vinamr, do I remember correctly? I appointed both of you, you and your wife. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
She went to IIT. Is she still in IIT?
Yes, sir. She is now the Associate Dean at IIT Delhi.
Great. You took my permission.
Yes, sir. With your blessing, sir.
Appointed us together. And I told, yes, why not? Because I always appreciating the career progression. But you remain loyal to me, and you have grown much. I think long years, how many? 15 years?
Yes, sir, 14 years now, sir.
Right. So look, I remember all my good people there at the campus. You will not believe it. He has grown a lot as a grown person. At that time, they both were little young and like children.
Sir, Vinamr has done doctorate also, sir, now.
Right. Greet your wife from me. Yeah?
I will, sir. Your blessings are always with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, with your permission, now can we close it, sir?
Yeah, thank you. Sanjeev Bansal, compliment.
All the best.
Thank you so very much.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.